Plainly, the royalists can no longer be relied upon to keep our nation safe.
Ah, great. This hole again.
And so it falls to the monitorists of the Syndicate to govern Uldar.
Probably a good time to get a snack.
But should you wish to help us, General, we would be more than happy to entrust the task of planning Her Grace's funeral to you.
You would mock her, then mock her from hell!
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear God, it's beautiful.
Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is Grinding Gear. I'm Garrett, here as always with Kyle. And we did it, Kyle. We finally did it. We said we were going to talk about it last week, but it turned out Coils of Bahamut was a little thick. We had some thoughts, wanted to share our experience there. But we can finally now sit down and have a chat about the fact that both of us have actually finished a Realm Reborn. There's a video up on this channel. It says, I survived a Realm Reborn. No, now I have truly survived a Realm Reborn.
Yeah, there's a couple of patches and a lot of main story quests. Oh my goodness. Slog is such a mean word. There is a third of this that I did not care about, and that was everything building to the scandalous Game of Thrones ending. That ending I enjoyed, but all the weapon crate stuff and a chore.
I'm with you. I think this is the most we're probably going to agree in a while on most things. We both like the game, but we tend to like different aspects of it for different reasons. It was so. I've been on such a journey, man. I've been on such a journey with this game. I find it so amusing. Because when we started this, when we dusted this channel off not that long ago, it was to just start doing gaming news. And throughout that, we covered things like the Yoshi P interviews leading into Endwalker. And if you can go back and watch that, and plus we did one on why Final Fantasy XIV is pulling players from World of Warcraft. If you watch those two, you will see me be the biggest grump in the world about this game. And everyone that knows me from the podcasting side of things, they've heard me say even more ridiculous things like, no, I'll never play that game. I'm not into anime aesthetic. Whatever the hell that is past, Garrett. So I've been on a journey, man. You finally broke me down, got me to try the game. That's so far has been the arc of this channel. And I think after today's episode, we're still going to make, comparisons to other games we've played. I'm always going to have World of Warcraft and the Old Republic living in the back of my head. But going forward, this is very much going to be about just me and you as players of Final Fantasy XIV. But I wanted to mention that because it plays so much into this, because my outside of game experience of being sold on Final Fantasy XIV, it was a lot of warnings about a Realm Reborn. I was warned, like I am warned for a lot of good serialized television, which is, listen, you just got to get through season 1. Just stick with it. The amount of people that told me, listen, a Realm Reborn is a little rough around the edges, quote, just stick with it. I felt like I was being sold on Breaking Bad or The Office or whatever you like binging nowadays.
For me, everyone was concerned about the grind to Titan. And I thought that was kind of cute. It was making fun of MMOs. It was a little self-aware. It was this chunk following the Praetorium that was the most time intensive for me in terms of just playing the game.
I was warned so much. I felt like I was a Realm Reborn was really carefully teed up for me of hey, there's some great parts. There's some kind of aged parts that don't hold up as much. Go in knowing you just kind of need to break through some of the pieces. And I kind of disagree with that and agree with it. I don't feel like I needed that warning at all for OG Realm Reborn. I did need that warning for the post-patch content in a Realm Reborn, because that's where my brain started wandering off, and I was like, I don't know, let me go see what cool armor. I'm gonna spend the next 2 hours just messing with my glamours, and I got very distracted because I didn't get as pulled in to that story. I liked the weird, kind of quirky pre-Titan stuff.
It was MMO. And we played a lot of MMO, so therefore we could deal with MMO. Now, everyone says, of course, this is the trial. This is but the initial go of Final Fantasy XIV. Wait till you get to Heavensward. But this was perfectly acceptable, all this Titan business. It was the sand snakification Game of Thrones multi-story that really slowed me down here. But powered through.
I felt that. I was like, oh, Kyle's going to be annoyed by this. This feels a little Game of Thronesy, and I know how much you hate the Game of Thrones jump around.
Listen, I know MMOs are a ton of content, and MMOs, because of that, are heavily influenced by the pop culture of the time. We're talking 2015 here. Game of Thrones was rocking, and naturally that's going to influence developers. I don't know the exact influence they had here, but certainly World of Warcraft sometimes is like feel like you're just reading the news from 2 years ago.
That's a good point. You know, in the defense, Game of Thrones was also still very good in 2015.
That is very true. That is very true. Keeper of the Lake. I thought that was awesome. The laser shoots through you. Everything seems to be getting really dramatic. The dragon business is building. I now no longer have a crystal support. I have a dragon support. And I'm going to Dragonland. Like, this is really going somewhere. And then we just kind of slow down a little bit. And they introduced an entirely new character. And I'm really impressed by how fast I cared about them. And then they quickly took them away.
Are you talking about Moonbrita?
Yeah. I'm
right there with you. She showed up and she's very sassy and very happy to take dangerous steps forward. Whereas I'm not gonna lie, I don't really care about a lot of the Scions. I think they're all a bunch of Boy Scouts. They're not the type of archetypes that I prefer. I do like Thancred because he is not a Boy Scout. He's a stabby, sexy man.
True. I was so disappointed by the Chrysalis, man. I have been really rooting for Midrifia. And
Midrifia, yes.
And everyone loves to trash on her. And I was like, no, she's responsible. She's the Rock. She's making sure this company actually works and gets things done.
She has grown on me. I'll say that too, because I've been one of those people dumping on Minfilia. I would like a little more conflict. She's still very straightforward, very Boy Scouty. I needed a little more Leonardo fighting with Raphael from Minfilia.
But she just goes and gets captured with like zero objection. Like she's got this like roguish personality.
Twice.
I know. And no flips, no cutscene powers, just straight up captured. I was so disappointed in her.
Yeah, we get to see basically all of the Scions throw down at one point or another. We get to see why they are powerful, why they're in a place of power, how they can throw down and be cool. I've still yet to see Minfilia do anything interesting.
It was so disappointing. I've been cheering for her. Well, I hopefully in the future they give her a little bit of cutscene power a la Mass Effect, because she needs it. She needs it now. I've been strung on. I mean, if you're ready to dive into it, let's talk about the end here.
Yeah. Let's absolutely do that. Because as someone who shared your feelings of not really loving the kind of political intrigue arc, boy, is the payoff great.
Yeah, but Princess is so dead from the beginning. Like, she will not shut up about how dead she's about to be.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up, because I've been trying to figure out what you've been alluding to, because you would not shut up on Twitter about how you called the end of the Realm Reborn, how you saw exactly where all of this was going. Hashtag called it. And I'm not sure I picked up on that. But I think my brain turned off every time I saw a table.
That's fair. She was so Mufasaing all that business. When I'm gone. Oh, when I'm not here anymore. It was so obvious. You got poor Raban, who's also standing around being like, man, I sure was a rough warrior in the past. I sure don't know what I'd do if the princess ever was gone. I'd probably lose my biscuits and kill somebody. He's just like, you're just like, okay. Obviously, Princess is dead, maybe in an anime way, dead, but all the same, gone for now. And Raban's gonna lose it. That was so obvious going into this. What I didn't expect, possibly from coming from MMOs, was me, the Warrior of Light, being involved in any way.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess I sort of expected it. I knew there was going to be a reckoning. Like clearly they were beating us over the head with the fact that the Syndicate are up to no good. While I did not really pick up on anything going on with the Sultana. I was like from the get go, I'm like, Ilbert is sus AF. This man is up to no good. And I'm pretty sure he's going to put a knife in Raban's back. Nope, cut his arm off. But pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, that I didn't see that one coming actually. I
mean, not the first few quests with Ilbert, but here, you know what? I'm gonna read into you, Kyle. If my brain turned off every time I saw the table in Ul'dah, I think your brain turned off because you already mentioned it during the weapon crate quests, because that's when Ilbert starts being a total sus ass.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And there's one point where they're like, this is the Duskwights. And I'm a Duskwite. And then they just forget it. And I've lost interest again. There was a brief moment where I thought I was going to get tied in. And no, didn't happen. And then they pull one of the most dangerous switcheroos for completing this game. You go to the edge of the throne room and you're like, awesome. It's time. Minfilia's here. We got her back. Everyone's gathered. Let's do this. And they're like, oh, I forgot. You gotta go into the desert for a hot moment and stand there. And it was just brutal. And in the end, I realized it was genius. But what
it's this moment to reflect.
Moment. Yeah.
It's this moment for you as your character. Like you're standing there. It's a train station where you go and you find the vial. And you're just if it's gameplay, but it could have been a cinematic where it's like this like slow pan and somber music plays and your character kind of looks out to the horizon, kind of because I thought the same thing. But then when they frame you for murder, my brain goes, oh, that was the calm before the storm. But they had me play it instead of showing it to me in a cinematic. And damned if I'm going to complain about it, because I've been complaining about too many cinematics. Like I thought that was actually, like, in retrospect, clever. It was a clever moment because, like you said, I too wasn't really thinking about where I fit into all of this in terms of the finale. I knew shit was going to hit the fan with the Syndicate, but your character isn't really involved with them. Yeah, you're in the room when the mini D-bag starts popping off like every time. What the hell is his name? I made a note here. Like you're in the room, but you don't really interact with them. It's not like you go on quests with them. They didn't do the thing where I kind of expected it to go, where I thought he was going to like be a quest giver and you were going to go do stuff for him. And he found out, nope, he made you go do a bunch of terrible stuff.
No, they spend like half a moment being like, oh, maybe he's a good guy. And then immediately cutscene you're not there for. What an evil bastard. And then he does this great, like, oh, poison in the drink. And then immediately walks in the throne room and just starts throwing down and pissing everybody off.
I didn't love the build up to the throwdown in Ul'dah, but what a payoff. Like, it was very cool. I really like Raban, and I've been dying to see him throw down. And hi, I'm a Star Wars fan. I love seeing people get their arms cut off and continue fighting.
Well, you know what? It is fascinating to me that it worked. There are moments like his fight scene there where you're like, wow, this is pretty damn good animation. Like, I am really digging this. This is anime levels. The swords are clashing. They kick a pillar at each other. Well done. And then there's the bizarre Gary's Mod face animation of him slashing the Lalafell in half. But it works. It pauses, he shakes his head, and shock extends across his face. It kind of breaks the system, but it sells it.
I don't know if it improves, if animation improves or not. We're going to talk probably next week about, taking our first steps into Ishgard. And I will say there is a clear line drawn in the sand of quality. The first damn like in-game cinematic, which isn't even all that impressive, that you kick off, you're like, oh, okay, we've got an additional layer of polish. I'm assuming that extends to things like the animation of faces and whatnot. But I haven't come across anything as dramatic as the ending of A Realm Reborn here. But yeah, it's a little rough around the edges. I'm still, though, like, again, coming from other MMOs and thinking about, what I was doing in World of Warcraft in 2015, like, this is still impressive as all get out in terms of how these in-game cinematics look, how they play out, the action that is on display.
Even watching Ghost Garrosh in 2020, this is pretty impressive. Eventually, you are cut free, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. And you run. And I was a little, I didn't want to like fight ads or anything in that moment, but I was a little disappointed I just ran away. And then it just goes full Mass Effect Underground as each character kind of gets their cinematic power. And we clearly divide up the group, which I'm really excited for because I love a good get the team back together.
Yeah, I do too. I didn't really think about it until just this moment where you're talking about it. I would have liked a little more gameplay there. I was mad, man. I was really annoyed and angry. I wanted to murder some people.
Yeah, you were tied up for the whole thing, and you want to bust out a little bit. Maybe a little running in the catacombs, in the tunnels would have been nice. Just fighting some stuff, but it propelled towards the end. And Alphino's ridiculous hat.
Alphino was wearing a hat. Oh, with his hood up.
His hood up, yeah.
His hood up, and he actually had the Scion goggle things on. I still have no idea what those do. I feel like an ether reader or something.
You can see the ether business, and I think they help you find titans being summoned.
I feel like we're gonna get some comments on that one. I don't know.
At this
like
point,
a scouter.
It's the game's fault that we don't understand it. Okay, maybe it goes into it more later. They can correct us, but for now, I blame the game.
I'm a Scion. Where's mine?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Orion J gets like 7 pairs of goggles.
Orion J is like your grandma who has to wear glasses and then wears the sunglasses that fits over the glasses for driving.
Yeah.
That's Orion J.
I don't really know what's going on there. Granted, my timeline is all screwy because I also did Koyos of Bahamut and he was still in the Waking Sands when everyone else had already left. And now he's like talking with the bad guys. I'm frankly lost on him.
I love that you mentioned that everyone got kind of their power scene where they get to see him doing something interesting, except Minfilia.
Yeah, except for Minfilia, who seems like she's going to be like, I'll distract them by getting captured and runs off with your lantern. Like, it's just awful. Oh,
that sure does seem to be her power at the moment.
I really enjoy a good, responsible, mature character, and they're just letting me down. We need something, daggers out of the dress or something. It ain't right.
I guess the big thing with her is that like Heidelin speaks to her, or at least so she says, because it's at this point in the game, it's been a long time since we've been told to hear, think, feel. So yeah, like the whole state of the world is interesting. I too am very excited to get the band back together. I would imagine these characters aren't going to die off screen.
I'd assume not. No, like even minor characters have been dealt with in big story moments. So I fully expect we're going to kind of go out much like our Garrus of the past, find them working other jobs, too busy to kind of come back. Plus, you're now off in Ishgard where they can't go. Naturally, gameplay needs to exist, so you don't get arrested the second you end up in another city, which is kind of nice.
The first thing I did was port over to Ul'dah. I'm like, did they do something here?
I know.
No.
I was a little concerned. I was thinking about that too, because they have a board and then they have all the shops you'd need. So maybe.
Yeah, it's a good state to be in heading into the next expansion. After having spent essentially all of A Realm Reborn hanging out with the Scions, it's cool to see them kind of cast the wind. The band broken up, except for, of course, everyone's favorite Alphino, who you're going to hang out with and go into the next expansion.
There is an opportunity for Alphino to really work. I know it's been said that it's Yoshi P's favorite character. Of course, the Dungeon Master loves his Gandalf, loves his quest giver. And Alphino's always like, can you do this for me? And sends you off. Voice actor got a little better, which is nice, but it's still... Alphino's at his lowest low, and Tatara comes in, and she's like, no, Alphino, feel better. I'm like, you stop. He's having a moment. Let this man feel awful. And then we can build him back up later on. I would love if Ishgard becomes like a buddy cop movie of Alphino and I learning to respect each other. And I'm just not an errand boy now. I know I'll nod. I'll nod to what he says, yes. But I really hope he matures out of this experience.
That was a like a side quest arc that I really enjoyed was Tataru. By the end of it, like, because I hadn't really paid too much attention to her through the majority of her Realm Reborn, and towards the end, where she's like, "No, I want to learn how to fight. I want to be a decent bodyguard." Like, I found that really charming.
Yeah, just in general showing character evolution on what was a side character in the moment. Her asides as you go in and out of the buildings have been fabulous, as she's like wanting to be a street performer and learning to juggle. It's worth it when you go into the Rising Stones and just talking to everybody. Much like when you finish the Mass Effect mission, you go around and talk to everybody and see if they're dateable. It's kind of the same thing. Like, I really enjoyed particularly stopping by and seeing her evolution of her character that eventually led her to break off and try to become an adventurer.
Yeah. And that's too, I know I've said that I don't love the double loading, but the way that it allows them to move people around in the space, like every time you would go back, Tataru was doing something different, and Thancred, like one time I went back and Thancred was like sitting in a chair and he was just playing with his knife, but he wasn't doing it any other time. I was just like, that's great. And the Scions move in and out, and just that kind of, like you said months ago now, where you're just like, people move around in the space, and how nice is that in terms of a storytelling device? It makes the world feel alive outside of just the players itself. It makes the characters feel alive, like they're busy, like they're a part of the story, like they have things to go and do. It wasn't something I expected to be impressed by. I guess also it's just something I didn't expect to be in the game. I'm
just excited to hang out with Lord McHandsome soon, the Lord Commander there.
Oh, good God. Yes, I have Matt. The next week, man. Next week. I need a little more time with Ishgard. I got distracted. Went and did the Dark Knight stuff, which I also want to talk about. I need to think about what the arc is there, like what I want to talk about first when it comes to Heavensward. But so far, it has completely charmed my pants off. It has lived up to the hype, I guess, is where I'll leave my thoughts with Final Fantasy XIV right now. We've already declared that we're going to be, continuing to put out videos and play through this and experience this together, which I'm really stoked about. I'm dying to play through a game with you, even if we're not always on playing together. We're experiencing this story basically simultaneously. Oh man, I'm an astrologer now, so my cues are instant. Yes, take advantage. I love it. I've definitely been happy to be wrong in the past, but I'm really, really happy to be wrong this time. Like, I'm excited to have another MMO that I'm excited to go and play. Like, when I have extra time, everyone's like, stream. And I'm like, yeah, at the moment, it is this thing I enjoy. It's like, oh, I've got an extra hour or two. I'm going to go play Final Fantasy. That's what I'm going to go do. I don't have a schedule at the moment, which is why I haven't started streaming it. But I'm looking forward to it. It reminds me of, the days when WoW was my main game, of when the Old Republic was my main game, and I would think about the game when I wasn't playing it. And that's where I'm at right now. It's like, to me, that is the sign of a great MMO. Yeah. The project game that also lets you play with friends is an amazing thing. And MMOs of the past have given me that opportunity. But the amount of things to do is what's really captured me, because sometimes I feel like the main story quest. Other times I might just go explore. Might go do some hunting logs or something weird like that. It is supplying so many different modes of gameplay, and just chilling in Limsa is a delight. So, the game is a delight. As I've said in the past, I like MMOs because for me, they're relaxing, and this is a damn relaxing MMO that I feel respects me for paying attention, even if I personally zoned out during table meetings. It's fine. Fine. Weapon crates, table meetings, we all have our thing. When you can, go play Final Fantasy. I liked it. I like it, and I'll be sticking with it. So anyways, that's going to bring us to the end of this one. If you're watching on YouTube, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. We upload every Wednesday morning. And if you want to get in touch with us personally, I'm on Twitter at Garrett Art. Kyle, you are at Kyle Ferguson, 2 S's in Ferguson. You can also send an email to feedback@startgrindinggear.com. Thanks so much, everybody. We got a ton of new subs at the last one, so thank you for joining us and planting your flag and saying, yeah, I want to see more videos. So keep it coming. Until next time, good luck and have fun.
You know, having a plan is pretty good for a story-based game, it finds out.